Kravitz. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Hello and welcome to episode 339 of Picks and Ponies right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you very much for joining us tonight as we are going to be covering a very good late pick 5 stakes-laden sequence, 3 graded stakes this Saturday at Santa Anita Park. Please make sure you follow us on X right there at H Kravitz and hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Also smash that like button as well. And then in the top right-hand corner, hit that notification bell so that you know when new content will arise. Of course, you can follow me on reach me on email right there, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com as well. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. The tip sheet continues to do well. Look below the video player. Hit that show more button. We've had a bunch of new signups recently. Really appreciate that. So click that show more button below the video player on YouTube. You can find out about our Power Picks tip sheet. We've got a great website, hhhracingpodcast.com. We're also on Instagram, instagram.com/HHH Racing Podcast. All right, we got a few things to talk about tonight. We want to get right into the handicapping. Let me bring on my wonderful co-host first from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Saratoga Special. And apparently he's coming in hot tonight with some hot takes with his rant of the week. We can't wait to hear that later on. Mr. Paul Halloran, and from the East Coast of Maryland, the calm, sane one of the group, Mr. Pete Visco. Guys, how we doing tonight? Paul, the next time they're going to see you and I after this show will be in a Las Vegas ballroom, I believe.
Yes, that's the plan.
Yep, next Thursday. Pete's going to be hosting a week from tonight. Paul and I will be in a ballroom in Las Vegas for the NHC. We're very excited about that. And Paul, apparently later tonight, you've got a very interesting hot take. We're all interested in hearing about your rant of the week, Paul.
It's not going to be warm and fuzzy like last week, Pete. Don't worry. That was
That's
a one-off.
We
Pete,
can't.
That was a one-off, Pete.
We don't want people to think you're going soft. So
That's right.
You gotta.
No, we're not going soft
maybe once
tonight.
every 4 or 5 weeks you throw in a sweetie pie one, but after that,
Yeah,
it's hard. Yeah.
In fact, let's get through the hell with the hand. Let's get through the handicapping. So
Let's get through it. We can just skip through these
We're
races.
going to go a little more quickly. There's no State of the Union address tonight on this show. We don't talk about politics. Maybe Paul will have a state of the podcast.
Well, yeah, no, that should be you, Howard. We should have that. You should have the state of the HHH.
Well, we got some exciting things going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I sent some email to you guys. I think we'll share that later. But
Oh, good.
we got some exciting things brewing. Also a brewing. Katie is here. He's not. She's not late. Thanks. Terry Frank cannot wait for that rant. Terry, look forward to see you, by the way, at the NHC as well. As the HHH Racing Podcast, guys, is very well represented. Kyle Rosso is going to be trying to qualify on Thursday for the last chance. Speaking of people that we know racing down and winning, Dave Duncan will be at our table, Paul. So we're excited to see Dave Duncan. Chris Couples. Chris, thanks for joining the show. He joined us a few weeks ago from In the Money Media. Rant. Chris wants to hear it. We'll be getting right to it. Guys, let's just jump right in. I want to jump right in to the late pick 5. Ideally end this in an hour. We don't want to interrupt any big goings on here in the country as we're filming on Thursday night. So let's get right into it, guys, right now. The late pick 5, and I thought this was a really good sequence. I mean, really good sequence. Let's jump right in. Starts in race 5 at 5:35 Eastern time with an optional allowance claiming 51 mile on the turf. It's a field of 9. 2 things I do want to mention to everyone. Number 1, the weather's going to be great. And number 2, the rails are out 30 feet. That's as far out as they go. And I do want to bring that up because in general, that means it will favor speed. Doesn't mean speed's going to win, but obviously there's less room for the horses to run. It's just a simple math point of fact. It's really not opinion. And in general, it will help speed. Again, that doesn't mean closers can't win. Just want to bring that up. Let me bring off the banners off the screen. The morning line favorite is the number 6, first time in forever, a New York bred, Paul, for Leonard Powell and Frankie Dettori. Let's see where we are going, guys, with our picks. Well, we're all going to chalk out here. We're all going to go with the 6, first time in forever. Pete, I'm going to let you go first, but not the first time in forever. With this horse, what do you like about the 6 to open up the pick 5?
Well, for all the Disney fans out there, First Time in Forever is a fun song from Frozen. I know Kyle would appreciate that, being the Disney aficionado like myself, but that's not the reason why I'm picking this horse. But apparently, by the way, Howard, just like last week, I should have waited for the morning lines. My pick 5 is so chalky, it sucks. I'm ready to throw it right out the door, but it's going to win, but it sucks anyway. But for this one, we got a nice 5-2 shot to kick it off. This is one where, again, you're just sort of looking at form and improvement, and you take a horse like this, comes into his 4-year-old, or her, sorry, misgender right away, comes into her 4. Yeah, I know. Let me grab that's usually Paul that kicks us off.
We haven't had that in a while, actually. We've been pretty good lately with our
no, I got all distracted. I should have known better. You get a horse. She kicks off her 4-year-old season, sort of with the, pairs up the lifetime buyer top, then comes back in her second start. She improves off of that. So just from a buyer and a time form standpoint, she ran her best race. Both races were wins with the Tory. She has the Tory up again. There looks to be a little bit of speed here, just enough. She's so tactical that she's just enough speed for her to just sit behind it, be patient. The Tory can be patient. Just basically the last 2 trips she's gotten, I feel like she can get that same trip and then just overpower the speed. I mean, I think from a sort of a pace and a trip perspective, I think she just has a pretty good advantage, and she's in such great form. She's hard to leave off the ticket.
I agree. She's very logical. By the way, Paul, I don't know if you guys look in the chat, but someone wants to know about a bear and where he. I'll tell you what. I'm not going to bring that comment up, but a lot of people are very interested in Paul's thoughts tonight. Also, what did I want to show here? Noah Maher from Bet and Boozin, co-host, 6-1. Not a fan of the 30 carats race. I'm not sure which horse he's.
I think he means 6-1.
Oh, my bad. He's going 6-1. Sorry about that. Thank you.
And as am I. I feel good about that.
I need the Noah Maher translator, or I just need to be smarter. But Noah's going 6-1. Doesn't like the 30 carats race. Thanks for joining the show, Noah. And by the way, also, because you brought up the song, Pete, now where's that Chris Couples? Now that song's going through Chris Couples' head. Oh, there it is. The song from Disney.
Sorry, Chris.
You want to give us a line, Pete, from that?
You want a line? For the first time in forever, I finally understand. There you go. That's my singing. I don't sing much more than that.
All right. I actually didn't think you would sing, but okay.
I'm feeling good tonight. So why not? Why not show the pipes off just a bit?
Nice. I've sung on this podcast actually one time. It was an Elton John song. You guys know what that was about?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, but you can go back and check it out. All right. So Pete's going with the 6. I agree. First time in forever. Paul, let's talk about the 1, because that is my second choice. Pete's third. Your second choice also. Thump's Dream. There are a lot of horses coming out of this race on February 10th. Your thoughts on Thump's Dream, second off a long layoff, Paul?
Yeah, well, that was part of it, Howard. I do think Sadler will advance the horse. I mean, that was a year and 3 months, a 15-month layoff. That's part of it. I think the horse gets a better trip. I think Hernandez will be a little more aggressive than Rosario in general, and specifically in this spot. I just think trip-wise, this mare, 6-year-old mare, gets a pretty good trip. She has, ran in the game league. Granted, it was almost 2 years ago, but that's a grade 1 start, and at that time was very good. Came back off the long layoff with a win, so obviously something went wrong again after that. That's a little concerning, but Sadler We know Sadler doesn't run them too often, don't we, Howard? He doesn't overrun them. So
Was that a Flightline reference?
I just look at you. Take it however you want.
Yeah, we might have to cut back on the Flightline references soon, maybe potentially, the bad ones, right?
I would say so.
I love Flightline.
I thought of all the horses that ran on February 10th. This one is the one to improve the most. I wasn't really a fan of that race, but second off the layoff, JJ Hernandez is fantastic. Gets the rail, which again is advantageous when the rails are out. Although I've seen horses trapped on the inside in the stretch quite a bit, so it's a little bit dicey from there. Again, you got to move earlier, guys. So when you watch these races on Saturday, they when the rails are down, there's obviously more track for them to maneuver, and they can wait until the stretch. You really can't wait till the stretch very much when the rails are out. It's something I've noticed, guys, quite a bit. And the smart jockeys make earlier moves, almost those like Belmont balcony kind of moves, Paul, because if you're trapped on the inside, when they hit the top of the stretch, there's not a lot of room to maneuver. So Thumbstream, I think, is interesting. Yep. And then, by the way, I'm completely against Medea, like completely. She got a dream trip in that February 10th race. I'm not going to show the replay. I don't like her at all. I agree with Noah Maher. I don't like that 30 carats February 10th race at all. And I just noticed, actually, and I post-fail, Thumbstream is not coming out of the same race. Obviously, that was a sprint. And this February 10th mile race that Noah Maher so eloquently talked about in his comments, I don't like any horses coming out of the February 10th race 1. And there are a bunch of horses coming out of that. Guys, Alternate Rock is very low profile connections, but I think Alternate Rock is the one that's going to sit off the speed. The main speed here, I believe, was it on the outside? Yeah, there wasn't a lot of speed. I thought maybe the 8, but I don't think the 8 was very good. And I have a feeling this 5 is going to run pretty well. I know it's Herrera and Cesar de Alba and blah, blah, blah. But if this horse can handle the stretch out, and there is a little bit of breeding to stretch out, I wouldn't sleep on the 5. That's my fuzzy. Your guys have the 7 as your, I wouldn't say fuzzy, but your next choice. Either one of you want to talk about the 7, then we'll move on.
Good, Pete.
Yeah, this is one of those horses, unfortunately, that tends to leave herself too much to do. So that's the only thing that's sort of problematic with this horse. And you saw it last time. She came home best in that race, but was just left a little too much and just couldn't get there late as the favorite. But the win back, 2 back, lost to Ruby Nell, who just came back and won, was third in the Pegasus and first in a grade 2, I think last weekend, if I remember correctly. So that form is sort of flattered a bit. And again, I just like that last race. Now you get Johnny V, who, although last time Johnny V was up, she was way in the back, but maybe this time he'll keep her just a little bit closer and she'll be able to take advantage of that late kick. But again, there isn't a ton of speed. So That's why I was sort of on the fence with her. But I think if we do somehow get some pace, I think she'll be coming late regardless.
Yeah, here's what we never want to do. We want to get 100 likes tonight. Let's go for 100 likes. So below the video player, please smash that like button. We also have a lot of new people guys, the reception, the interaction has just grown and grown on this show. We just can't thank enough the people out there. People like Brooks Lewis, who's new to the chat. What's up, Brooks? Howdy,
we'll
Brooks.
Be there.
I hope to meet you all next week in Vegas. Absolutely, Brooks. Just find us, man.
There.
We'll be very approachable. Paul signed some autographs. Listen, we're happy to
I'll
talk
buy
to
you a drink, Brooks. The first drink's on me, Brooks. First drink for any of our listeners. The first.
There you go. Now, what Paul doesn't know is you need a drink ticket to get drinks, but he's NHC Brooks. He'll find out soon enough. But you can buy drinks, Paul. But they do give out drink tickets free as well. But Brooks, we're not going to buy you anything cheap. We'll take care of you, buddy. Whatever you want. So Brooks, thanks a lot. Look us up. Excited about that. Robbie Courtney mentioned that Johnny V's out there on Saturday, and we all know why. It's not because of this race, by the way, but we'll talk about that. All right, guys, let's go on to the next race. I'm just going to show the banners right away just because I'm there. There's our picks for race 6. Let's go to it right now. Race 6 is the Santa Isabel. Oaks points on the line. It's a grade 3. Obviously, it's for the 3-year-old girls. $100,000 is the purse. Mile is 16th. There's the field. There's one standout, another New York bred out in California, but this one's always been in California. The number 4, Kinza, very talented 3-year-old filly for Baffert. and JJ Hernandez. Now, obviously, this horse will not be in the Kentucky Oaks. We've talked about it a lot. What we've also talked a lot about, guys, is the 3-year-old fillies this year have been, other than maybe Tarifa, have been a bit meh, fair to say. I got to tell you, I don't know how you guys feel. I would not be surprised if the Oaks winner comes out of this race. And I'm not even talking about Kinza. I think there's some pretty talented horses here if you just go by the numbers. So I don't know. I think this is a race that you got to really pay attention to, and it's very interesting. I'm going with a long shot, and this is my play of the day that I'll talk about in a minute. Pete and Paul are basically going 4-6-1, 6-4-1, etc. in that order. Paul, let's talk about your top choice. And we're going to show the replay because I thought this horse was super impressive. I have her third, Nay V. Bell, nicely named, for Glatt and DeTore. Talk about this very talented second-time starter in a grade stakes.
Yeah, it's an aggressive move, especially as you mentioned, Howard. It's a good field. I love seeing that our California expert Noah Marr has this horse on top. That makes me feel very, very good. It just seems like the horse did it the right way. To your point, Howard, as you pull up the replay,
she's the 5. I'll just let the whole thing run through because
I mean, 80 an 81 number. It was a certainly an honest pace for a maiden race. But at 6.5, I just thought the horse did it the right way in watching it, and I do think it's the type of effort that it certainly looks like the stretch out shouldn't be a problem based on how this horse ran. Frankie wants to win the Derby, but he wants to win the Oaks too. So maybe this will be his Oaks horse. But this horse on the lead is on a pretty easy lead, although albeit an honest pace, and you'll see. You'll see this horse go by pretty easily. That looks like a Juddmonte horse on the lead, and this horse goes by pretty easily. Strides out well. I know you're a big Gallop Out fan, Howard, so you may want to keep running it. I can't say that I watched it all the way through on the replay, but Galloping Out better than anyone. So, hey, look, the 4 could be a superstar. Okay, this is Baffert. It's Michael Lund Peterson. You'll remember his name from Gamine and Feza. He's one of the guys who has stuck with Baffert true and true. He's really been outspoken in his support of Baffert. So he, and he doesn't need to go the Oaks. He's got no problem, I'm sure, not going. He'd rather go. But, could this horse win by open lengths, as someone put in the chat, racing downwind? Yes, of course. But the horse is going to be 3-5. And I was encouraged to hear you talk about the field, Howard, because in a competitive field like that, obviously that's the more likely you can beat a 3-5, right? You're not just relying on potentially one horse who could beat this horse. So yeah, I landed on the 6. I think the 4-1 morning line is inflated based on the 4-5 of the 4. I don't think the 6 is a 4-1 horse, but might go 4-1 because of the money. I just think this 4 is going to take all the money.
What do you think the 6 is going to be at post time, or should be?
I think he's probably more like 3-1.
Really? Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I would say, but he could be again. Obviously, the lower the 4 goes, the higher everyone else goes. Did I say a he, a she?
It's
a couple times. Yeah, a couple times.
Oh.
We let the first couple slide, but that would.
All right. Well, this is a filly race because it's a prep for the Oaks. Don't try to trick me, Pete. So yeah, it's a big move. You're going off a maiden race into a graded stakes. I get it.
Yeah.
And you're looking at a Baffert monster. I get it. So if you're right, you're going to get paid. I have no problem betting this horse. If the horse gets trounced by the 4, well, that's what's supposed to happen on paper. But I don't want this 4 at 3-5.
Mark
I
Latt's
hear
been
you.
on
I don't
fire
want the
too,
4
Paul.
either.
That's on fire, especially with the
With
Tory,
Tory,
Peter.
yeah. I had a 5 for 14 wins, 11 for 14 in the money in the past few months. Those two together, so they're lighting it up and they're running well. So I'm with you.
Pete, Kinza is really talented. I'm not going to show the replay of the last. She's really fast. This is just pure like Baffert all the way around. A fast, talented filly. She
Yeah.
can obviously win. She's going to be the favorite. We're not saying anything that's really too surprising. I guess the question to you is, obviously you think she's going to win. Are we talking a horse that can like win the Mother Goose out east and like just keep winning big races after big races? Is she flattered by the Santa Anita, 2-turn situation where it's hard to close? I mean, how good is this horse, do you think?
I mean, I think she's pretty good. I liked Copion was a horse that I had some high hopes for the
Yeah.
Oaks, and she sort of, I mean, she sort of made her look a little silly last time. She beat her pretty handily, and it's Baffert. A top Baffert horse is a threat to win any race, regardless. I know people whether they like or dislike Baffert. It has nothing to do with whether his horses win these big races, and this horse can. She can get to the lead in a race like this. She has a really clear pace advantage. Hopefully down the road, if you get her in some bigger races east, towards the east a little bit more, then maybe there'll be some other speed to contend with, and it won't be so easy on the lead. But in a race like this, that's the concern. If she just gets out there and goes, she's going to be really hard to run down.
Michael
I think
Austin
the
brings up
one,
a good.
Pete. Excuse me, Howard. Pete, I think I'm kind of banking on the one, maybe to be Pratt to be aggressive from in there.
Kind of has to, right? You would think that's the only shot. I mean, you wonder if a horse. Are you relying on trying to run down the 4, or are you going to try and attack the 4? Because running down the 4, running down Kinza is going to be tough if you let her get a sort of a clear, comfortable lead. She'll be really hard to run down. So I agree with you. I think Pratt's going to have to get ultimate authority in the race a little bit more, sort of get on the neck maybe at the top of the lane, put some pressure on this horse, and then you see what
Did you
happens.
see the way this horse broke last time, by the way? I mean, this horse broke. Watch the 8. This is the one on Saturday. This break by the 8. I mean, she's got to go from here. This is the 8. This is Ultimate Authority's last race, guys. Where's the ring is the 7. I mean, this is a fast filly. I mean, look at this, guys. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to show that. She is quick. I don't know if she's as quick as Kinza, but she's quick and she's got the inside. I mean, she has to go to some extent. You would think, right?
You would
Now,
think.
Michael Austin brought up a good comment, Paul, that you'd be interested in. It's at the bottom of the screen. Horses coming out of the Navy Bell race, Bonacqua and Corposo run tomorrow. So you might want to watch that, Paul. I doubt that'll change your mind, or maybe it should. I don't know. But I always do look at that. I'm not always sure it's a transitive property kind of game, but I think that is interesting point there by Michael Austin to look and see how those horses do on Friday.
Real quick
Guys,
on the one, Howard. I know you're gonna. I want to get to your horse, but real
yeah,
quick
go
on
ahead.
the one is the 2 good races with the 90 buyer were on Lasix, the debut, which was pretty disappointing, but wasn't the best trip. Was off Lasix, but also was at 2. So it's one of those where you never know what the cause was for the bad race, but it's just always something to keep an eye on. And obviously now we're off Lasix, and now you can go ahead and talk about your 2 horse here.
No, it's something you always bring up, Pete, and I don't look at it enough, and I probably should. It's an excellent point. But the one is very quick, and I think has to go. By the way, this is a mile 16th race. Okay, so here's my thinking. The one has to go. I don't know if the one's going to battle Kinza. The 5 guys, she's a Tempest, was in against Kinza last time. They tried to rate her. It did not work out well. If you guys watch that replay, I mean, she ran perfectly fine, but she was no threat to Kinza. This horse looks like a need the lead type. Puts blinkers on, guys, with an aggressive jockey in Pereira. So I think this horse is going to push Kinza a lot more.
And look
than
at those
she
2
was.
works, Howard, after the last race.
Yeah, I
Those
mean,
2
wow,
works. Looks like
right?
this horse is ready to run. Yeah.
Yep. And where's my ring is not slow. I don't know where that speed came from last time, but she showed a lot more speed. And by the way, I gotta say this: what the hell is this horse doing this race? Please tell me Val Bringerhoff's going to scratch this horse, guys. Please, I mean, seriously, give this.
Yeah,
horse
all
a
she
damn
can
break.
do is get in the way.
Well, if you ain't first, you're last. She's going to be last. So I don't know. I don't know what the hell this horse is even doing in the race. Anyway, guys, there looks to me like there's a lot of speed. And let me put all of us on screen. Look, if I'm not going to be honest on this show, I shouldn't be hosting. Gilmore is officially divorced. He was horrible last week. I picked him. I'm not going to say hello to him in the barn. Sorry, Gilmore. You were just bad, guys. I was completely wrong. Next Level, a few weeks ago, I picked it like 30-1 to be somewhere with DeSormo. He didn't work out. However, as you guys know on this show, I have picked some long shots that have done very well. There's a horse at Oaklawn in a sprint race last month, guys, that did very well underneath. I really, really, really like Shiloh's Mistress in this race. This is going to be Matt Miller. Hope you're paying attention because Matt sometimes gives me shit by not like saying my play of the day. Guys, this is my play of the day. The number 2 Shiloh's Mistress. And I want to talk a few reasons why. And I've got some stats also, Pete, to back up also tonight as well. First of all, Shiloh's Mistress looks way too slow, right? I mean, there's no doubt. She's going to have to be fast. She's run 268 buyers, and Kinza's run 96, 93 with time forms in the 110s, and the 2 has run time forms in the high 80s, low 90s. Obviously, this horse that has to improve. You know what? I think she's going to improve a lot, guys. To me, Shiloh's Mistress is the only horse that can pass people in this race. I don't see any horses in this race that want to pass anyone in general, guys. You could say the 1 maybe, but I think the 1's going to be up close in this race. So I see a potential hot pace, not letting Kinza get away. I see this horse taking back and making a huge run. Now, this horse costs $235, guys, and she's by Vino Rosso out of a St. Liam mare. Who's this is a half to a horse named Chocolate, who you guys might have heard of, who's a very nice horse, and also half to Andusite, who's also a nice horse. So there is breeding here, guys. Do we really think Michael McCarthy, who's I think as sharp as there is out there, is going to send this horse all the way out west and bring Johnny Velasquez with her for S's and giggles? No. Not only that, she's working very well. And guys, her last work at Santa Anita on March 4th was visible. I watched it on XBTV. She was very good. There was a lot of traffic, and she blew by a horse in the stretch. And I have to show you the horse that she worked with and blew by. She worked with and blew by, let me get this horse right here, guys, who we're going to talk about later, the number 8 horse, Turner Loose. So Shiloh's Princess blew by this horse, who is a nice older filly. It wasn't even close. So, guys, here's my thinking. Shiloh's Prince is going to take back. She's going to make a big run. She's better than she looks on paper. She's going to be a price, and she's the only horse that wants to pass, and she's got Johnny V. I'm using her everywhere in my pick 5, in trifectas, whatever. I'm going to shut up and move on. This is my price play of the entire day. There you go, Pete.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I had the horse as sort of a C because I just felt the same way you did. Where I'm not sure on the win end. I think it might be a bit too much to ask unless all hell breaks loose with the pace stuff. If hell breaks loose, then you're right. This one's going to be coming. It's just is there going to be too far to catch the top horses? But maybe. if you can beat Kinza, and this horse hits the board behind whoever beats Kinza, then you're talking about a nice try too. Because I don't think the 2 is going to take much money. I could see floating up from 12 just because of the buyer disadvantage coming off the synth. It wouldn't shock me if this horse floated up a bit. Also.
Yep, Tanner Hawkins. Good evening. Noah agrees. I guess Pereira is not really that aggressive, but I think he's going to be aggressive in this spot. I mean, guys, what are they going to do? Just let Kinza walk on the lead and be happy with second? I mean, it's happened.
I have a hard time. It's happened in California before with a Baffert horse on the
maybe
front.
Maybe Kinza's just too damn good. But I'll tell you what, I'll take a 4-2 exacta at 8-1.
Heck yeah,
that'll be fine with me, right?
Heck yeah. Especially if the other horses try and go, and they're the ones that sort of run each other out. And even if Kinza pulls away, you can get a horse coming. Yeah, I'm with you.
It's also mile 16th. I mean, these horses are stretching out. Paul, any you could poo-poo if you want. Any thoughts on Shiloh's Mistress, or am I just thinking here?
No, I think you're going to need both the 1 and 5 to go in order for that to materialize, not either or. That would be my opinion on that. But I'm not here to talk you off a 12-1 horse by a Breeders' Cup Classic champion who was
Who won
by
at Santa Anita,
one
by
of
the
the
way, right?
greatest
Did
horses
Vino
of all
Rosso
time.
win at Santa Anita?
Vino Rosso. I had
That was at
Vino
Santa Anita,
Rosso
right?
in that race. It was.
When he won the Classic? Yeah, it was.
I believe
Look,
so.
I'd be happy with second or
Yeah.
third, guys. That'd be fine. You know, the big reverse key, the reverse tri key is coming for sure. With
Yeah,
this.
although in a 8-horse field, if the Baffert horse wins, you're getting that's
Yeah.
you're better off pounding the exactor and hoping she runs second.
Perhaps, but I'm definitely going to play around with that horse, guys. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the
Let's
next
move
race.
on.
Yep, race 7. There's our picks at the bottom of the screen. Let me go ahead and bring up race 7 right now. I
This is a
love
good
these
race.
Yeah, I love the down the hill races. The downhill stake races are even better. It's the Sam Simeon. It's a grade 3 down the hill, $100,000, 6.5 furlongs, of course. Big field of 9. Pretty wide open board here. Moreline favors the number 7, Lane Way for Mandela and Mike Smith, who did win with a turf horse earlier, actually last week, or it was on Monday, I believe it was. Paul, let's go to you first. You're going to go with another, a lot of New York breds on a California card. The New York bred Dancing Buck for Dutro and Maldonado, who is 6-1 morning line. Talk to us, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, the down the hill configuration for this speed horse admittedly could be an issue. I get that. But I mean, how can I resist Rick Dutro shipping a horse to California? 13-1 last time, almost pulled the upset, just missed by a half length. Maldonado, I think, got a chance to ride last time. I think we'll be aggressive again. And look at Mike Smith is in the Hall of Fame for a reason. They called him Money Mike for a reason. But am I going to be afraid at all to bet against him on the favorite in a turf sprint down the hill? No, every day and twice on Sunday, with all due respect. So,
by the way, I should have said something else about Shiloh's Princess. But this is important, guys. In her maiden breaker, I know I'm going back for a second, but bear with me, everyone. Shiloh's Princess in her maiden breaker, guys, lost to Perfect Shot. Who's Perfect Shot? Perfect Shot finished second to West Omaha and third to Tarifa. So anyway, the form fits Shiloh's Princess. Anyway, Dancing Buck is fast, Paul. There is quite a bit of pace, though. What do you think Maldonado's going to do here?
I think, something similar to last time, if not to the front, sitting off of it, try to make a move on the turn or coming home and then hold them off, which again, admittedly is harder to do in down the hill races. But yeah, I think that, you look at the 2-horse who kind of needs the race to fall apart. The 3's got some speed. The 5 next door clearly has speed, but there's a little root speed there. I don't know. I think Maldonado is just going to pretty much go with this horse and take his chances. And the 8, Detroit's got speed, Leonard Powell's horse. So it's a tough race. You'll see I'm spread 4 or 5 deep in this race in the pick 5. So I was happy though, Pete. This is the occasion where, not knowing the morning lines, at least seeing someone come up 6-1.
It's nice, right?
Usually it comes up 2-1 or 9-5 when we don't have the morning lines. I had no idea what this horse would be. I knew we wouldn't be the 13-1 of last time, but and Howard Ward Dancer lives right down the street from the house we rent at Saratoga. How can I not play this horse?
Love seeing Ward Dancer as the sire. This is a nice horse, Paul. Pete, let me just play a little devil's advocate. I'm going to use Dancing Buck defensively. I have 2 concerns about the 4. Number 1, has never been down the hill, and number 2, it looks like this horse might actually want some give in the ground. I'm not sure that actually firm is best. However, he is honest. I think he's going to be a factor. So, it's the break, I think, is important. We know Maldonado's aggressive, Pete. That's for sure. Yeah. Now, Pete, you're going with another speed here. You're going with the 8, and I honestly didn't know what to do with Air Force Red. 4-1 morning line. Paolo Dettori off quite a while. When he's good, he is very good, and he's also very good down the hill. The layoff to me is a big question. You got to believe with Dettori on, though, maybe he's ready to fire big again.
Yeah, that this was weird because as I was going through, there was a bunch of horses who I sort of liked but had knocks against, including this one. And then at the end, I was like, yeah, but I don't actually like any of them strongly. So I went back to this one, like you said, 5 races down the hill, 3 wins and a second, 5 wins at Santa Anita. Obviously, if we're talking about down the hill, likes the Santa Anita down the hill, especially. I was listening to a pod, I think it was In the Money, where they were talking about Dettori at the down the hill, and they said he's really been moving horses forward. And I don't pay enough attention to know if that's true, but it was I forget, it was Duke Matisse and I think Chappie
Yeah,
were
I
on.
heard
So
that too. He's just
so
more aggressive early, Pete, and gets him in better spots
yeah,
than other
exactly.
people.
And when you have a horse
Yeah.
like this who can be, and I think can be a little bit tactical. I mean, is better on the lead, but doesn't. I don't know if needs to be right on the lead the whole time. But I just feel like we always talk about the down the hill. It's not for everyone. And if you get a couple of horses in this race who really prefer it, then it's hard to go against them. And you're getting a bit of a price. Now, Leonard Powell, he didn't have a lot of history off this lengthy of a layoff, so there wasn't a lot to glean from that. Air Force Red fired last time he was off a layoff, but it was a tiny layoff, so it didn't really matter. But I, I feel like this one, maybe because he gets the jockey changed to a jock who's been riding this course well and is back to his preferred track slash distance configuration. Maybe it all brings him back to his past form. And I think that puts him right in the mix. Again, I'm not sitting here trying to single this horse because I think this is a pretty wide open race, but I think he's definitely one of the top contenders.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if he's favored. I got to be honest, because there's a lot of Dettori love out there
Yeah,
right
the
now.
only thing is Lane Way's a My Racehorse, so you never know how the
That's
My
true.
Racehorses are going to take the
No,
money. So that's the
yeah.
only thing.
Alex Condiff says Powell has these ready. So Alex,
Yeah.
thanks for joining the show.
I-
Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm using him. I have different thoughts here, guys, and there's so many there's so many potential heavy favorites in the sequence. I just wanted to go different direction in certain races, and this is another one because down the hill, who knows? I'm going to Laneway. I don't like the 3-1. I understand what you're saying about Mike Smith, and this is a 7-year-old Paul, so this is sort of a soft pick, but I mean this is a down the hill lover. I mean, this horse loves to go down the hill. I mean, he's unbelievable down the hill in graded stakes. And I do like the fact, guys, that this horse can sit off a bit. This horse does not need the lead on paper. I've seen this horse run a lot. He just seems to get really good trip after really good trip, and it's because he's tactical. So to me, this is the one that I think is the most consistent and the most honest. Would I take too low a price? Absolutely not. Terry Frank mentions that. There you go, Pete. The underlay situation, my racehorse.
yeah.
Like, I totally get it. I want to talk about the 6 for a second. Ottoman Prince. Because I like to deep dive, I did a little homework on this horse. First of all, Phil D'Amato is great with new acquisitions, and Phil D'Amato is the best turf trainer in California. It's not even close, and he's one of the best turf trainers, frankly, in the country. Does anyone really believe he'd put Pratt on a Euro import in a stake race if this horse wasn't ready? Now, I don't know if he'd qualify for an allowance race, or maybe there's just nowhere else to go with him. I watched his workout, guys, at Santa Anita on March 1st on the dirt. He's clearly not a dirt horse. He's very compact. He's actually on the smallish side. He looks like sort of a keg of dynamite. I think they're going to take back with this horse and make a big run. I am guessing, but that's how I feel. If you look at his short comments on the right side, he looks like he's more like mid-pack or has a little speed. I have a feeling this horse is not going to show speed against this field. I'm just curious to see what Ottoman Prince does. And to me, Paul, if this horse is bet down, he's very live. If he's like 8-1, 10-1, he's probably not live. Of course, we're not going to know that for the pick 5, but within the race, Paul, vertically, would you agree with that statement? Or would you just not let the board tell you anything with this particular horse?
No, I think if he's cold, that's more of an issue than if he's really bet down, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't say he's automatically going to win if he's bet down, but if he's cold, then yes, I think that's a problem. But yeah, just like Zoffany, the sire is a Grade 1 winner
Yes.
over there. You know, The horse probably ran it's an Irish horse, but probably has some experience near France. So Pratt could probably speak French to him in the stretch, so they'll understand each other. So that's
Yeah.
a factor you probably didn't see in your research.
I did not. Mike
That's why I'm here.
Mike McCraft said Gogo was the best down
Okay.
the hill rider. Miss Garrett Go. You know, we all do, man. Garrett Gomez was the rider of blame, by the way. For sorry about that, Pete. But anyway,
Funny, he's my favorite jockey, except that day. Like that day, no.
Interesting.
But that was more Mike Smith's fault anyway.
It's gonna be a fun race, guys. I had the 2 Aradeo last time when I played a pick 5 with Noah Maher. Boy, was that a last time was the time. This horse is a much tougher field, but the 2 should also make a run.
We didn't talk about the 3. The 3 got a lot of love, including Noah and
yeah, I should have
some
brought
of
up
our
the
West
3.
Coast, some of our
I
West
actually like the
Coasters.
3, guys. I don't have the 3. I have a 3 as a B. The 3, that was a heartbreaking loss, and the 3 is fast and improving. How about a Mucho Macho Man as a turf sprinter? Just interesting. With JJ, this is just a fun race, guys. It's a really fun race. You could go a lot of ways. I think most of us would agree it's a spread. Let's go to race 8, guys. This is the feature of the day. It's the Grade 1 Beholder Mile. As I switch our banners on the screen, we are all over the board, literally, in this race. The Grade 1 Beholder Mile is race 8. They're of course going 1 mile on the dirt. For older fillies and mares, $300,000 is the purse. The morning line favorite is a horse with a name that we all know, the number 2, Adair Manor, for Baffert and JJ Hernandez coming back from the Breeders' Cup. There's also Sweet Azteca at 3-1. You also have Green Up. Fletcher's got 2 in here. This is really quite an interesting race. I have to say, first of all, I was surprised that Adair Manor was not lower than 5-2, guys. I was expecting to see like 8-5 or 9-5. So that was one little surprise. Pete, you're going to go with Adair Manor. Let's start with this one. I guess she has the best resume of anyone. She's fast. She's honest. And I really think the turn back is going to work very well. She does not want to go 1 mile and 1/8. Of all the horses I was against on Breeders' Cup Day, this is probably the one I was most against. I couldn't believe she was 5-1, but I was happy because I was getting better prices on others. This obviously is an easier spot and a better spot with the turn back and distance.
Yeah, this is another one, and I hate to be wishy-washy. This is another one where I didn't love anyone on top. I had a bunch of horses that I liked a decent amount to win, that I thought could win the race, and I landed on the 2, Adair Manor, mostly 3 for 3, like you said, 3 for 3 at the mile distance, because I think this is when she's at her best, like you said, going a little bit shorter, 9 for 10 in the top 2 at Santa Anita. I guess the concern with her always is her wins are usually when she has a pretty moderate pace and she's on the lead, which that's not going to happen here because she's just not fast. I don't think she's going to be faster than the 6 Sweet Azteca, maybe. But again, Sweet Azteca, depends on what Pratt does with that horse. If that horse goes, then Adair Manor is going to have to sit off and chase. If Sweet Azteca, for some reason, pulls back a bit, it's hard to tell. Last time she wasn't the hottest pace and she sort of sat off for a second, then cleared and rolled, but that was against much weaker. So I think the pace is going to be important here because Adair Manor is just generally used to having it her own way. When she does, she's tough. If she gets it, she's going to be tough. She hasn't fired big off layoffs. That was my biggest concern. If you look at all of her races off layoffs, she's finished okay. Like she has a second in there. She's finished in spots, but from sort of a speed figure standpoint, they haven't been her best races. So maybe she's not best off the layoff. And this is lengthy enough to where we'll have to see if she fires. She's working well. That last work was excellent. So she's fit. She's experienced. She's classy, but might be a little pace dependent if she gets a little bit of contention up front.
No, Noah says the Breeders' Cup was the day to beat Adair Manor. Today, meaning Saturday, is not that day. I've got to say, Paul, I've never been a fan of this horse, and maybe I don't give her enough credit, but it just seems like when she wins, she's beating up on like crappy West Coast horses in small fields. This is not one of those. There's some interlopers here. I've got her second because I do like the turn back, and she doesn't have to win on the lead. I mean, she could sit off someone, and she's just really honest. I have her second. I don't know. Paul, you have her nowhere, so I guess you sort of agree with me that you're against her today. You're going to go with one of the Pletcher's, and he's got 2 in here. And the other one I have to mention right away, Interstate Daydream was a Cox, and Pletcher now has taken over the training of this horse. So that's very interesting. Interstate Daydream looks like more of a closer. You got to believe, Paul, of all the horses that might put pressure on Adair Manor, Green Up will be one of them.
Yeah, and Interstate Daydream was sold at Keeneland November, theoretically to be a broodmare, and then Mike Rapoli bought her for $1.4 million and put her back in training. So that's why Pletcher is training this horse. Rapoli bought her last November at the Keeneland sale right after the Breeders' Cup. And I'll tell you, it's not on the page unless you have the lifetime PPs. But this horse ran second in a Grade 2 in her second career start in the Adirondack at Saratoga. So this is a real horse coming off a layoff. That I'm talking about the 5.
Yeah, I'm switching it right now.
I think it's interesting to me that both of these Pletchers are interesting to me as far as him picking this race to make their first start of the year. He's not only shipping them across the country. It doesn't look like either has worked out here, so he's pretty much shipping on top of the race. And it's a Grade 1. Now, a Grade 1's a Grade 1. I guess we could argue if it should be a Grade 1, but it's certainly a legit field, as you mentioned, with Adair Manor. And Howard, I'm with you on Adair Manor, and I have been a fan of this horse, by the way. But I see the same names in the running lines of the wins, and then I see with other horses losing to Interstate Daydream, drubbed by Society, drubbed by Idiomatic. So yeah, I don't know. I think the horse is going to be a little over bet. Again, I will absolutely be using the horse in my ABC grid. So I'm not, but in my top 3, yeah, I went with Pletcher. I'm a big fan of Sweet Azteca. This is a horse on the come, as we say in craps, which we may or may not see at craps table next week. This is a horse on the come. Shop Azteca obviously was a very fast horse, in good hands with McCarthy and Pratt, et cetera, et cetera. And, I wanted to have Interstate Daydream somewhere. I would say Interstate Daydream's best race is very formidable here. I'm not sure, because the layoff to ship, the new trainer, the no works in California, I'm not positive she's going to fire her best race. But if she does, I think she's formidable.
I'm having, guys, my computer's been on the fritz. I apologize to people at home. I got to get something figured out. This 3-1 line by John White, I suppose this horse can win. She's really not bred to go long necessarily. She's going to face a lot of pace pressure. I don't see it with this horse. If Sweet Azteca wins this race, she's like 8 times better than I thought. And I bet her the last 2 times away, including 2 back when she should have won and was awful. Last time she was great, but beat absolutely nobody. This is a huge ask, isn't it? I mean, man, this is a really tough ask. They must really think highly of this horse. I mean, I love the horse. I just don't like the spot. Guys, let me quickly talk about the 1, and then we're going to move on.
Yeah.
I look, again, when I throw these horses out there, everyone, I'm not just doing this willy-nilly. I mean, I honestly think the 1 can win this race. Now, I know I'm reaching in some races, but guys, this game, as you know, is about value. This is not who can pick the most winners today. I'm trying to get value, and Coffee in Bed ran well against Desert Dawn. Now, Desert Dawn has to step up in this race, but Coffee in Bed to me is one of the few horses, guys, other than the 6, that could really take a step forward. Mandel's been very patient with this horse. I like the way she ran last time. I don't love the ride that Smith gave her last time. I think he was too passive and waited too long, but she really was moving in the stretch, guys, and it was a slow pace. Pete, we talk about these blue coded numbers, and I think she's got a nice close that's better than it looks on paper. She's improving. She's going to be a big price. If it heats up, I think she's going to be coming with the Interstate Daydream. There's just a lot of question marks I have in this race with Adair Manor, with Sweet Azteca. Green Up is good, but very inconsistent. Interstate Daydream probably wants a little further, I think, guys, than a mile. I don't know. I think Smith's going to sit a great trip, and I think this horse has a shot maybe she can't win, but I think this is another like Shiloh's Princess kind of horse to me. I don't think she's impossible to be in the money, and maybe a factor late, guys. So that's my, Paul, I'm in NHC mode, Paul Halloran.
I'm going to say you're a week
and Paul
early. I'm going to say save these, Howard, for next week, will you?
Well, and Paul, I don't have to tell you how to handicap or how to play the NHC because you'll figure it out for yourself. But these are NHC kind of horses, Paul, right? These are
no question.
These are 8-1, 12-1 horses that a lot of people aren't going to play. That if they run big, even for second, you're going to get $6, $10 to place, and if they win, it's going to blow the whole shit up. So these are the horses I try to find, not only for the NHC, Paul, but just every day to day. And if they work out 2 out of 10 times, I get paid, right? Because this could completely blow up a sequence. So anyway, I don't want to drub on, guys, but coffee in bed. I'm not a coffee drinker, but yay, this is.
And it would be fitting for a spendthrift horse to win the Beholder.
There you go. Didn't think about that. Let's go on to the last race, guys. We're going to do this one pretty quickly so we can try to end not too soon after 9 p.m. Eastern. The last race, and I'll go up, put it on the screen, is, of course, my favorite, a 5-furlong turf sprint. Not only that, it is California breds. I'll just go ahead and go right to the field right now. $65,000 purse, big field of 11. Moyline favorite number 4 is Jane Kendai, who for D'Amato and Dettori. You guys are both going with the 4. Pete, go ahead pretty quickly with your opinion on the 4. I have a very strong opinion on the 4. We'll talk about in a second.
Yeah, I have the opinion that all the other 9 horses suck, and the only one who I think the only one who's decent is the 4. I think every other horse is mostly garbage, and this was the only horse I could come up with. I was fighting to get a second and third horse, in all honesty. So, as we'll see in my pick 5, I singled the 4. I think the switch to Dettori is fine. It came from Pratt, switch to Dettori. The horse couldn't win, but the buyers were fine. The time forms were actually pretty strong in the 2 races, especially compared with this field. There weren't the first timers. I didn't love the horses who ran, and then the first timers, there was nothing that super jumped out at me. So I'm going straight with the 4. I think the horse is tactical, can work out a really good trip and sit right behind whoever inherits the lead. It's hard to know since there are some first timers in here. I think it should just get a good trip in the hands of D'Amato and Dettori. That's enough for me.
Yeah, she's tactical. She's honest. But I'll let Paul go first. I agree with you, Pete. I mean, she's the horse to beat. The horse that have run do 0 for me, including the 6, who was going to take money. And I know everyone loves Ohm and Pratt, and I think that horse can be overbet. Maybe she's going to be better with Sadler. I don't know. Paul, you're going with the 4 also. Paul, why don't you quickly give your thoughts on Lady P, who you have in second as a fresh face?
Yeah, this is I think that this horse, again, 12-1 morning line, first time starter. You'd hope the horse takes some money. It's a modestly bred, modestly purchased horse. But Parabin is first time starters in maiden turf sprints. Only 3 I could find over the last 5 years, but won one of them. He's obviously he's doing very well at this meet at 29%. Maldonado is aggressive, so that fits the 5 furlong. I think this would be a price play that I would have in this race. Probably is kind of like a B-ish type.
Okay.
I would say this on the 4, Howard, before you go. Of the 2 races the 4 has come out of, all the horses who have come back to run out of those 2 races have an average buyer improvement of 8. So that's a good sign that they've all except one have improved their buyer, and that one only went down 2. So, I think even though it's a maiden and it's a turf sprint, which I know you love, Howard, this will be the race that I'm going to try to be narrow in the pick 5.
Yeah, I'll be skipping turf sprints next week, the NHC, Paul, if I can help it. I'll tell you that. Headed for Ohm, like I talked about. Maybe this horse is going to be better on turf. We'll see. Here's my fuzzy, guys. The number 10, Castagna. A few quick stats, and we'll move on. First of all, the 4, I got to go back to this, who can absolutely win and will be favored for sure. The first time, guys, she lost to a 55-1 shot, 55-1, with a perfect trip. Last time, with another perfect trip, she lost to a 7-1. guys, unless these other horses can't run at all, and Pete, that's very possible, very possible. Unless these horses can't run at all, I want nothing to do with the 4, at least as my top choice. Castagna, guys, was working well for O'Neill before she came here. The work on February 25th, which I watched, was a complete disaster. She broke slow. Her head was all over the place. I was like, why the F am I even watching this horse run right now? Then I watched her workout on March 1st. She was a completely different animal. She broke perfectly. She went to the lead in the work. She galloped out very well. And the last thing I'll say about the 10, guys, Castagna, look who's riding. It's Freysu, right? The last 2 times O'Neill and Freysu have hooked up on a first-time starter turf sprinter, they finished first and second. Just keep that in mind. Freysu rides well for O'Neill in these situations.
They have great turf sprint, like 30%, 60%
Really good.
together. But let me poo-poo the 10, even though I have the 10 in third.
Yep,
And
poo-poo
that was the horse I was trying to get closer to the top. And 3-year-old and up, first-time starters for I'll Have Another, 0 for 11. Turf sprints, 1 for 19. And on the turf overall, 1 for 56. I'll Have Another horses. So I was looking at it going, I'd love to
There's
bring
no
this
turf
horse.
breeding.
Yeah, and
there's
I
no
was like,
turf credit. This race is on turf, Howard.
I tried.
I like your other long shots, Howard. This one sucks.
Well, this horse might not be able to run. I just find it weird that.
Well, no, he might be able to run, but turf. I think you got to look. Where is the turf?
Why not put this horse on dirt then? Why is she on
Good
turf?
question. You'll have to ask Mr. O'Neill. Maybe he wanted to. I don't know.
Let me call. I don't have him on speed dial. What the hell? I don't know. Look, it's just a fuzzy. I'm throwing the horse out there because of the stats with Freysu. I have no idea.
I like Freysu. I like Freysu.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the pick 5 tickets, guys. Don't go anywhere. Paul's rant of the week is coming up, and I can't wait with some visual effects also, Paul, if you know what I mean. I think we're going to have some visuals to help with your no audio. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
From our great friend, Kelly Dorman. Sorry, Kelly. There's reasons why we can't play that music behind it. But anyway, real quick, pick 5s. Pete, you're going 167, 146, 2378, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with $4.90.
Pete, we got to combine the tickets. Wait till you see my ticket.
Oh, really?
Pete.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's almost a mirror.
Almost exactly.
Yeah, we got to play it.
I mean, I have no interesting opinions in terms of the pick 5. I went with basically the top 3 choices in one, 3 of the top 4 in the next, and then going sort of 4 of the top few in the next. And then I thought the Beholder was wide open. I actually don't even dislike your 1, Coffee in Bed. Howard, I had that horse right behind, would have been my next one on if I could have. And then, like I said, I'm singling the 4 because I think everyone else just kind of sucks. So
yep, I hear you. Paul, you're going 167 with 146. Wait a minute, what the hell's going on? With 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, with 2, 3, 5, 6, with $4.90. Very.
At least we both can win, Paul. We both can win pretty easily.
There's only 2 horses on your entire ticket that I don't have: the 3 in the 7th and the 4 in the 8th.
That's unbelievable.
Fantastic.
It's unbelievable. I'm rooting for you, Pete, my friend.
Me too. Might not pay much.
Now, I'll tell you what I'm going to do right now. I'm adding the 3 and I'm adding the 4. So I will have, if you win, I win, Pete.
All right, I love it.
Yeah, again, you could question the sanity of singling the maiden at the end, but I want to have an opportunity to get a price. And hey, look, if the Baffets win, if Adare Mana wins, if the other one, Kinza or whatever wins, then that, as Pete said at the top of the show, it'd be peanuts and Cracker Jacks. But I do like the 4 at the end, and I am going to try to spread elsewhere. And I hope my friend Pete has a great handicapping day Saturday.
I hope you guys have a great day too. If you guys have a great day, I'll probably hit it. It just won't pay very much necessarily. I guess it depends what happens. Guys, look, I'm trying to find value. I'm in NHC mode right now. I'm going 1, 5, 6, 8 with 2, 4, with 2, 3, 6, 7, with 1, 2, 3, with 4, 10. I have no idea if the 10 can run. I mean, who knows? $96. I'm throwing some prices in there. like I said, Shiloh's Princess is by far my play of the day. I just wanted to finish in the money, guys. I'll take an 8-1 exacta over Kinza. That's absolutely fine. I really expect Shiloh's Princess in race 6 to run a big race. Most of my vertical money of the entire day on Saturday, guys, irrespective of any track, will be through Shiloh's Princess. I'm hoping to get maybe 10-1, and she'll come running late. And even if she clunks up for second, I'm perfectly fine with that. All right, it is about that time, ladies and gentlemen. Paul tweeted it out, so this is a big deal. I put it out on X. I know he's got some strong opinions. What is the topic? I don't even know, although I think I do have an idea. It is time for the family's favorite segment of the week, Paul's Rant of the Week. You gotta love it. All right, let me turn this music down. Paul, I'm all right. We are all ready for you. I have some visuals ready to go. Paul's Rant of the Week.
Pete, next week's rant is going to be about the intro music. All right, so I'm sure everyone saw this week the press release that came out of New York. They actually let the governor put it out. Governor Kathy Hochul, who has turned out to be a big fan of racing, by the way, unlike Mr. Cuomo, who went to the track exactly once or twice in his tenure as governor, both once for a Triple Crown at Belmont when he could be seen, and once at Saratoga on Whitney Day when he could sit next to Mary Lou Whitney's husband. Anyway, the renderings are out for the new Belmont Park, and we can never be disappointed by HRT. Oh, there we go, Howard. There are people on Twitter who have a problem with this, okay? They are idiots, all right? I love Belmont Park, all right? I've been there many, many times. My favorite in-person sporting event of my life was the American Pharoah Triple Crown, okay? It was my third favorite track after Saratoga and Del Mar until I got to Keeneland. I love it. We don't have need for 100,000-seat, non-winterized behemoth. Look at this facility, people. It is state-of-the-art, okay? It is a place that can be used year-round. It is going to have 3 different racing surfaces. Oh, there's another. Look at, there's a paddock out there. The goddamn white pine that had people in angst about, oh, they're going to lose the pine that's in the logo. No, they're not going to lose the pine. The pine's going to be outside the paddock instead of inside. And we've checked with the pine and the pine's family, and the pines are okay with that, okay? It's a fantastic facility. Can people get their heads out of their asses and stop living in the past and hating any change and hating modernization? And look, I will say I understand one thing. They built the hockey rink next door with the design of Belmont in the design of the rink, which I thought was cool. Is that a reason to try to replicate the look of Belmont Park? I don't think so. You could see what NYRA is trying to do here. They're trying to make a statement. We're in 2024. We're not in 1973. And you could look at that. I mean, that is 1/3 the size of the current building. You know, I believe 50,000 max on Belmont Day. This track will be filled to capacity once a year, maybe, and twice if they have the Breeders' Cup. No other days. Okay, so let's have it filled. I was there for the California Chrome Belmont in 2014 when they lost control of the facility, and there were more women in the men's room than men's, and the men were peeing in the sinks and the women were peeing in the sinks. And the facility, while still functional, they needed to make a statement. They're making a statement. You know, I was going back and forth with our good friend Jeff on Twitter the other night, and I used Fenway Park as an analogy. I'm a Boston guy. I've been to Fenway Park 500 times. It is currently a dump and needs to be replaced. This America's most beloved ballpark bullshit. If you're the size of a jockey, that's great. If you don't mind looking from the right field seats at left field as opposed to home plate, that's great. I lived through it with the old Boston Garden, another place I went to 1,000 times. The TD Garden is fantastic, okay? I get it. The old buildings have character. They're old. They need to go, just like all of us are going to go someplace, okay? So welcome the new Belmont Park. It's going to be open in 26. They're going to have the Belmont in 26. I think the Breeders' Cup will probably wait a year, but when we're all at the Breeders' Cup, when the podcast goes on the road in 27 to the new Belmont Park in a Breeders' Cup, I don't think we're going to be saying, "Oh, but the building's not brick anymore." So people just have to get over themselves, and that's the rant.
Wow. Paul, you and I don't always agree on everything, and that's what makes friendships great. And sometimes we do agree. This fist pounding, this uproar, this fake bullshit. What do people want to be walking through urine? Listen, I'm from Chicago. Okay, we know old bad stadiums. Okay, because Wrigley Field, what as beautiful as it is, or what it is now, the inside was a complete disaster. If any of you have been to Wrigley Field up till when they refurbished it, now the concourses are nice and wide. They're wonderful. I mean, Soldier Field used to be an absolute joke. You can. They're going to build a new stadium, whatever. We've all been to shitty, old, dilapidated buildings. Guys, move on. Times change. Pete, I think this looks amazing. I can't wait to see the new Belmont in a few years.
Yeah, I think it looks fantastic, Paul. The one thing that made me laugh, I saw some commenters about, how the real horse players and the ones who really have handle and the ones who really bet horses, they don't need all this fluff and circumstance and pomp and circumstance. They don't need that. They need like the old school. And I'm like, what the hell's the difference? You could bet. The betting is exactly the same. So what if you're going to get some people there that are maybe, we talk about it all the time, growing the game, bringing in new fans. You know what does? Nice places, nice stuff, or other things that maybe lure you there. That's not the horses. And then when you get there, maybe you fall in love with the horses like so many of us did. But to me, the people are like, I can't, it's not made for the real bettors and stuff. I don't understand that. You bet the same half the time. What do you need? You sit on your phone and you bet the race on your phone. You sit there and you watch the race. I don't get it. People complain for the sake of complaining. And I love this rant because makes perfect sense.
Pete, with the canopy and the roof, it's got a little Arlington feel, little Ascot feel, look.
Yeah,
we're moving on. It's going to be great, Paul. I can't wait for all of us to be there for the Belmont. They're going to get the Breeders' Cup for sure a year or two after, the year they open it or the year after that. It's going to be great. Guys, we're going to end it up right there. It's been a great show. Again, Pete will be hosting next Thursday. Paul and I will be live just for a short segment to talk about the NHC. We'll have the TVs in the background in the big ballroom, Paul. You're going to love it. It's going to be great. And I believe Noah Maher, is co-hosting with you, Pete. Is that right?
I think so. That's the plan. Yeah, we're going to probably do Santa Anita again, back to back, potentially.
Awesome. And we will have Power Picks next week. I'll send that out through an email for those who subscribe to the Power Picks. I'll explain the situation with that. But for my wonderful co-hosts, Paul Halloran, Pete Visco, this has been Howard Kravitz, episode 339 of Picks and Ponies. I will say 2 crush your bets. 1, crush your bets at Santa Anita. And then next week, even though we'll be on, but I won't be ending the show, crush your bets, anyone who's going to be involved with the NHC 25th anniversary contest in Las Vegas. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
methods. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.